You know, first of all, I know that there are a lot of great resources in regards to teaming. In fact, many of them can be bought through the Association for Middle Level Education. They have some great resources in regards to teaming. So when I decided to write the book, it wasn't about competing with those other books. It was really about encompassing, one, my life experience as a middle school teacher and working on a team. And then two, it was about the opportunity to highlight some of the things that I've now been doing as an independent consultant working with schools long term. And one of the things that I'm finding when I work with these schools long term is they're tired of some of the same initial things that we did in teaming. They want the next level. They wanted to go to the next step. And so when I sat down to write the book, I decided that, wait a minute, I'm not going to start necessarily with the basics. I think most middle level teachers know the basics. What they want is they want information on how to get along with their colleagues. They want information on how to deal with students. But ultimately, the weakest area is they want some information and some real practical ideas on how to deal with curriculum when they come together. Because teaming, in my opinion, is a precious jewel that I'm afraid that we may lose in middle level education if we don't do it effectively and do it correctly. So that's why I wrote the book. You know, I think teaming in today's day and age, and I know there's tons of different terms. There's terms from professional learning communities, vertical teams, horizontal teams. I mean, there's tons of different terminology when it comes to teaming. For me, teaming is simple. It's about a group of people who come together with a common focus. It could be kid focus. It could be a curriculum focus. In fact, I'm not even limiting it to middle school. It could be grades 4, grades 3. I've seen some effective teams in elementaries. I've seen some incredible teams nowadays in high schools. In fact, a couple of the schools I work with, some of the most effective teams are high schools. So for me, I think teaming has finally branched out into a broader definition than just a middle school core team, meaning language arts, social studies, math, and science. There are teams now that are essentials teachers. There are teams that the principal has for leadership with parents. So for me, teaming is probably broader than it's ever been in middle level education. I think that in today's day and age, I think that we know what teaming is all about because we might have done training 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I think the mistake is that we didn't go back and refresh our training models in regards to teams. I think that we just started it off maybe in the late 90s and said, here, go become a team. And then suddenly people have been together and they're like, is this still working? Is it effective? And to be honest, the biggest mistake we made is we didn't change bad behaviors. Example, one of the things in the book that I talk about is every single team I've ever worked with has team norms. Well, that's normal to have team norms. You say don't grade papers, be on time, be respectful. I get that. But very few teams want to go to the next level, and that's the critical piece. The next level is the one to say, okay, you have the norms, now how do we hold adults accountable for their actions? Meaning, what do you do when a teammate brings in papers to grade? What do you do when a teammate is continuously late? Most teams don't want to deal with that. And in order to be great, you have to drive through Uglyville. And that means when you drive through Uglyville, you have to deal with adults. And that's the hardest part of teaming. And I think that's our biggest mistake that we've made is we aren't helping teams figure out how to deal with the adult variable in the scenario of teaming. You know, I think the most important takeaway from the article is that there are so many elements of teaming. I tell people this all the time. There's no race. There's no finish line in teaming. But I think there's that mentality as teachers and administrators that there's an end line or an end goal in regards to teaming. I don't think there is. I think that teaming is one of those things that's constantly evolving, constantly changing, constantly being tweaked. And a lot of that is because of the variables that have been handed down to us because of state mandates, because of things that are truly out of our control. And so I think if we really look at teaming the way it's supposed to be done, is you can figure out how to use that time effectively to not only meet the mandates, to deal with what you have to do, but ultimately deal with kids, curriculum, and professional development. Those are the key pieces.